Oh, God, you're going to record it?
Of course, I'm going to record it.
All right. How am I doing standing? Because I can't see what I'm doing. So,
Well, let's do this. I'm gonna do this.
okay.
And
am I?
give me a minute here and let me. There we go. Okay.
All righty. Everybody probably has something very similar to this in their shop. Aside from a lathe and a grinding wheel, grinding stone for sharpening, this is probably for a wood turner and maybe a, the next machine you want to buy. After that, maybe a chainsaw, but you'll see.
I think the chainsaw comes before the bandsaw. Myself.
Yeah, you can do a lot of things with the chainsaw. And if you're looking for a chainsaw for the shop, Joe Self was the one that got me going on an electric chainsaw. I ended up buying mine at Harbor Freight when they had them on sale for $39. And they come with an Oregon bar and chain, and that sucker will cut up, and I can do, right around the shop. The nice thing about an electric chainsaw is I can also do it in the shop while a piece is on the lathe or something like that, and not get all the fumes. But that's another demo that we can talk about. Okay, so basically we've got the bandsaw, and they come in different sizes. This is the Delta 14-inch. If you did anything in shop, you probably used something like this. It was either a Delta, Rockwell, or Rockwell Delta, depending on who owned the company at the time. The 14-inch was the standard size. We have right here, this is a riser block. This is an addition. It allows an extra 6 inches of depth of cut. Okay, so without this, you can cut about 5 1/4 inches, maybe 5 1/2 inches. This thing always dipped down, and I'll show you why in just a minute, but that would restrict it. I'm going to raise this up to show you. Truly about the height that you can do. This is 9 inches from fingertip. My tape measure, we'll do it scientifically. It says 11 1/2, but I would say 11 inches is about the most you're going to get out of it.
It'll go up more.
It'll go up more. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it went up another 1/2 inch. Okay, now we'll get a full 12 inches of depth, and we can get 13 inches so that you could do a 26-inch piece. If I did a big piece like that, the first thing I would do is build an auxiliary table to give me a little bit more support. Okay, so we're looking at that. This is a rough cut. And again, we're not talking about cabinet work or flat work when we're using our bandsaws. Most of the cuts are going to be rough. They're going to be either dry, rough wood, like a log, or wet, rough wood with a log. That has a different cutting technique or different cutting characteristics. So we're not going to be talking about cabinet work here today. Okay. Always, when I'm playing around with the tool and adjusting it, fixing it, I pull the plug. That way I can't accidentally turn it on, because this thing, I don't want it going on. Question. Other than a wood shop, where else do you see a bandsaw?
Meat market. Butcher shop.
Butcher shop, exactly. They're nice and they're shiny. They're mostly stainless steel. A lot of them don't have all the safety gear that we do, but they're designed to cut meat and bones. So The bandsaw can cut meat and bones real quick and real fast. And the problem with the bandsaw cut is it's real rough. So you take a roughed out finger to the hospital, they're going to laugh at you and say you're in trouble because it would be very difficult to attach and restring. So let's avoid any accidents. This is not to be used on us or around us. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. I'm going to be sending out, can you hand me my paper over here? We did this demo, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago at Ralph's, or no, excuse me, at Waldo's workshop. I found the old notes that Dave Piper and I reviewed, and we're going to be sending these out. Ralph will send them out as a kind of like a wood alert, but so you don't have to take notes, but just kind of keep an eye and we'll talk about it. All right. I lost my point why I wanted that. Anyway, want to look at a couple things on the bandsaw. If you don't know the different parts, most bandsaws have 2 wheels. There are certain types of bandsaws that have 3 wheels. I've never used one of the 3-wheel ones, so I don't have any characteristics or know how they work. I always like, if you need a bandsaw, always there's used deltas. And the great thing about these is you can buy the parts and they're still readily available and you can rebuild the whole thing if you need to. Okay, so let's go over the safety issues first. These doors are real safe. Yeah, that light keeps flickering. Yeah. Anyway, these doors are real important. You want to keep them closed when you're running the lathe. I'm going to open it up so you can start to see. Now, the newer lathes, like this one, this is one of the newer models, has a little ball here that is in a spring clip, and that's how it closes. The older lathes have 2
Bandsaws.
Oh, the older bandsaws, excuse me. The older bandsaws have 2 stud screws and 2 handles, and you have to unscrew those and unscrew the bottom ones to get this off. Okay. Oh, Ralph's got one right there. See these? This is the older model. They're interchangeable pretty much. You can buy parts for all of them. Okay, you can see it's called a bandsaw because it's like a rubber band. The blade is going in one continuous motion. Okay, and like a rubber band, it can break. So let's talk about some of the safety rules. It's not a question of when the bandsaw or if the bandsaw blade is going to break, it's when it's going to break, because it's going to fatigue. And if you twist it or turn it or using wet wood, it kind of twists the blade a little bit, it may break. So always, 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 when I was teaching, we taught the kids, you know, we've got these shut, got this shut. Normally, I'm going to be standing right in front of the bandsaw. Okay. The one thing that always drove me nuts on the Rockwells is they changed the positions on the on and off switches.
Oh, mine's right there.
Ah, yeah, they were right here. They were right here. So know where your switch is and be able to turn it off, because if the bandsaw blade itself breaks, it's going to start making a lot of noise. What you want to do is immediately just shut it off and stand back and let it come to a complete stop. You come to a complete stop, then you unplug it. After you make sure, and when I'm saying a complete stop, these are protection. This wheel is going to be spinning. It's got ball bearings here. It's going to be spinning. The one on the motor is going to be spinning for a long time after the bandsaw blade breaks. So you want to let it come to a complete stop. You don't want to open this thing with that thing spinning, because it'll throw the blade out. Okay. Normally, if the blade flies out, it's going to fly out in this direction over here. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not standing in that way. We've got protection here, we got protection here. So I want to be on this side away from it if it breaks. Okay. Now, a couple things. We want these closed. This particular one, if you look at some of the older bandsaws, yours does have it too. Some of the older ones, people have gotten rid of the return. This is a blades going in this direction. So this is coming up. This is the blade. You can't really see it, but that's where the blade is returning and it comes up. If you don't have one of those, you got to either make one or buy one or fix it, because you don't want an exposed blade over here. All right, because that'll be a dangerous thing. The only place you want an exposed blade is right here in the cutting area where you're working. If you notice, there's a cover right here. There's a safety thing right here. Sometimes people remove these. You got to find it and put it back on, or make one, or order one. Because if you're cutting a small piece, well, this is a little rough, but
Loosen it up a little bit more.
pardon me?
There.
There we go. Okay. Now, they also, on this one, we've got an exposed blade here. They have a part people went by. They're coming around. Anyway, you might want to make a piece right here to cover this that can kind of go up and down. I don't like having an exposed part of the blade. You're not going to be able to see it. You forget it's there and something can happen. So I like to cover this, and I'm going to take a piece of wood. Now, normally I'm working with logs or chunks of wood. I can cut up a blank and cut them up into squares. Ralph has got some. Perfect. I can cut, my own blanks and squares and stuff like that. So what I want to try to do is set it up so that it's safe. If you can, I did a pretty good job on that by eye. I like about 1/4 of an inch, okay, between the guide and the safety thing and the piece of wood. That way it slides. Now, remember, we're doing logs that are odd shaped. So you've got to kind of really eyeball it. I want one with a flat.
I don't have any with a flat.
Okay, we'll figure, we'll show you. Yeah,
Here's a flat.
that's a flat. Okay, now if this was a log and it's got a flat piece here, okay, that's the side I'm going to be cutting. But I've got to, the rest of the round shape of the log, it's not going to be even. It's going to be up and down. So I want to find the highest point and reset the safety here so that it's 1/4 of an inch from the high point. Already, I'm got to raise this up. If you've got, by the way, if you have any questions, yell them out. You won't interrupt me. Okay, but now if this was a log, like I said, it would be different, irregular shaped. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to get halfway through and hit. I guarantee you're going to do that if you don't measure it carefully. Why do I know that? Because I've done that. We've all made those mistakes. Okay. Put this back where it
Put it
was.
over there. Put it on the
Okay.
top of that basket.
From the basket.
Sure, put it on the basket with all the other crap.
Okay. I'm trying to go through all this stuff real quick. How are we going to do this? First thing, does everybody know about buying bandsaw blades? I've been buying mine recently from Smith Hamilton in what are they on 72nd, and
They're up in Hialeah.
they're up in Hialeah, but I don't even go up there anymore. I found it's cheaper to just order 2 or 3 and then they ship them out for a couple bucks, and it isn't a bad deal. Let's talk about blades. I use particularly for logs and things like that, I'm using either a 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch wide blade, and I'm using 3 to 4 inch either a skip or a hook blade. 3 or 4 teeth per inch. Okay, and they, depending on what Smith Hamilton actually has at the time, I adjust those because they don't always, they actually make them the size. All right, we're going to talk about size in a minute. They're going to send them to you like this. I don't know if you're seeing the,
Yeah, we're good.
okay, good. Undoing them is a pain in the neck. It's always, you got to be careful. They're sharp. And that's an undone blade. Now you don't want to store that way. One thing to be careful of, don't ask me how I know this, but the blades, the teeth always have to be pointing down. Can you see that?
Come closer. Watch, just don't fall in the hole.
No. Can you see the blades pointing down? Okay, you want
Yeah,
them
but
to
on the
be
other side, they're pointing up.
on the other side, they're pointing up, which is exactly what you want them to do. Okay. Don't put your blade on backwards. If you get a bad cut and it's really rough and it's not cutting with a brand new blade, check your teeth to make sure they're on the right way.
Make
It
sure
does
you-
happen.
Make sure you put your teeth in correct in the morning.
Okay. Now to fold these up, I'm going further back.
You're
How's
good.
that? Is that good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Watch close.
I would wear gloves if you're playing around with this the first couple times. Okay. I know these are sharp, so I'm going to be very careful. What I do is put my foot just flat on the blade. I'm not pressing down real hard, but I'm just holding it flat. I have shoes on. I'm not doing this barefooted or in flip flops or something.
like some people.
But you know, silly shoes. I'm taking my hand. You see how my fingers are? Open palm. And I'm just gonna kind of cup the blade and hold it with my thumb, between my thumb and my forefinger?
Yeah,
Forefinger. Okay,
middle finger.
not the middle finger, the end finger. Okay. And all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do a 3/4 turn and go down at the same time. So I'm pushing it down and then I'm turning my wrist 3/4 of a turn.
Like magic.
And I've got my coil back. Then you just kind of play with it and get it set up. Then you tape it or twist ties or something, but don't leave it like this without some securing on it. Okay, otherwise it'll be a problem.
And
So-
then you mark on the tape, needs to be sharpened.
Yeah, this one happens to be, needs to be sharpened. Now, the other thing, they come in links.
One other thing, David, can I say something before you go any further with that?
Absolutely.
I buy my blades from Smith Hamilton, but like you said, you got to check the teeth because more times than not, you get them from them and you have to bend them out. They're, for some reason, yeah, I've had many come that way.
Huh.
When they make them, they just, maybe it's the way they hold it, they weld it, whatever, but it comes in. If you were to put it in that way, it wouldn't cut, but you definitely need to check them no matter who you buy them from.
Oh,
That's
you
all.
mean when they're coiled up?
Yes, when they send it to you coiled, you need to coil
They
it
may
the
have
other
them
way.
on the backwards.
Yeah, they must have them
Okay.
on backwards when they're welding them or whatever the case may be, you know? Just no
Okay.
matter where you get them, check them.
And I'm gonna send you a video on sharpening your blades, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, I'm putting this over here. This happens to be a 105 inch. Now, what do I mean by 105 inch? We're gonna talk about that. Oh,
Yeah. Yes, the special tool.
a special tool. All right. The lathe link or the bandsaw blade link is this area right here. If you've got a regular delta,
Right there.
yeah, Ralph actually has it written down. It's a good idea. If you have a regular delta without the riser block, they're 93.5 inches, 94 inches, depending. I would actually do a string and measure, but if you figure 93.5 inches, that's going to give you the right dimensions to slide right on. If you happen to have a riser block, he says 105 inches. If I remember, I thought they said 104, but you can measure that. On my big lathe, I have 140 inches. What?
Bandsaw.
Bandsaw. Bandsaw. I keep saying lathe. I'm used to talking lathe. All right. On my big bandsaw, it's 140 inches. So check your specifications with your manufacturer. They usually have it online or they have it in the manual. By the way, a manual, that's a really neat thing to do. is
Yeah,
to-
he's the guy that cleans the garden.
No. Manual is the thing that you read to understand how to use your lathe and safety things, and it tells you the thing I like is the diagram where the machine's all taken apart. That way I know what's broken or what I need to fix or where things go or how to put them back in when I take it apart. Okay, but so we're talking about bandsaw blades and we're talking about the length. All right. This is the wheel. This particular top wheel is free spinning. Okay, it's on a ball bearing. And it just spins. If I took the blade off, it would just spin with no problem. The bottom wheel is hooked to a motor, and that's where the power comes from. And that's on ball bearings as well. And it spins, but it's not as free spinning. That's where the power. On Ralph's, it's back here. On some, they're in the back area. The motors.
Some are underneath.
Yeah, the ones with the enclosed cabinets are underneath. So you've got those. Now, on these wheels, they have, can you see the orange?
No,
Okay,
turn the whole machine.
turn the whole machine.
Just don't drive it.
Or aim down at the bottom one.
I'm afraid of that hole. There you go. Can you see the orange part right there? Yes? Can everybody see that? Somebody
Yeah.
say yes or no?
Yes,
It's visible.
Okay, good. They can come in black. They can come in blue. They can come in the orange. The new neoprene ones are, I think, blue and orange. If you're going to replace your tires, buy the new neoprene ones.
Polyurethane.
Or is it polyurethane? Buy the new polyurethanes. Okay, let's move this down. There's a hole in Ralph's shop that's going to be a dust collector or something at some point in time, and we don't want to hit it. Anyway, these tires need to be replaced at least once in a generation. You'll know when to replace them. If your bandsaw blade starts to act funny and it's throwing the blades on a regular basis, and when I mean throwing it, it comes off or it's not fault tracking right, you can replace the blades. The blades are cupped a little bit. Okay, you see how the hand is cupped? Actually, this is an exaggeration, but you can see.
They're crowned.
Huh? It's kind of rounded
They're crowned.
or crown. There you go, a crown. Okay, and you want to make sure that that crown stays there. The blade, I wish. Oh, here, can you see this? On this one, it has a tension. This is how we tighten up the blade. Okay, if we're putting on a new blade, we got to loosen it. We got to take out this little bolt. And we pull off the blade. Do you want to do that or not?
No.
No, we'll not do that. But anyway, we loosen the blade. We can put on a new blade.
Alex will show them how to do that.
Yeah, Alex actually will show you. We're going to talk about Alex. If you don't know about Alex Snodgrass, we're going to send out the information. You want to look at his videos. He is the best demonstrator on bandsaws. Okay. These tires are not hard to replace. They just need a little bit of stretching. And if anybody ever,
Put them in hot water.
yeah, a little hot water. And I've actually been able to, the new polyurethane ones, I've been able to do without the water, and they just stretch in. This has a recess in here that it's exactly where the blade or the tire is supposed to go and sit. And you want to have that crown facing up. Okay. when you put your blade on, you want to make sure that the body of the blade is on the crown, not the teeth. The teeth should be hanging out a little bit in the air. So that the
You
teeth
want the
are a
gullet
little
at
bit,
the
out,
crown.
a little bit proud. Okay, but we're going to talk about that. All right. Now I tension it, and I like to have a little bit of play, but not a lot. Can you see? It doesn't. Oh, here. Wait a minute. See how I have a little bit of play in there? I actually will put a little bit tighter.
You want to tune that up to about a high C.
Yeah.
Where you can play a tune on it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And you can adjust it. There's a little gauge in the back that they're rough gauges. They're not perfect. And you'll play with them and figure it out. Now, one thing that everybody does wrong, no matter what, you don't want to do it, is when you're done using this, you want to release this tension. They have this adapter that's a quick release. The reason you don't want to have it tension is it'll actually cause a flat spot on your tire. On the top here and on the bottom here, and it causes it not to run right. So if you release that tension, you don't have that flat spot. And then the thing you have to remember is when you're going to use a bandsaw again, raise up the tension, because you don't want to run your bandsaw with no tension on it. It'll throw the blade. Don't ask me how I know this. These are all the mistakes that I've made. So anyway, okay. Any questions about just the basics of the bandsaw so far? No?
Silence.
Silence, okay. All right, let's see. I'm just going through. And if anybody has any questions or problems with bandsaw, give me a call. We'll check them, and sometimes we can even go over and help you fix them up. I would have at least 2 or 3 of the blades that I like, because as soon as you need it, you're going to break a blade. And then if you don't, it takes about a week and a half for Smith Hamilton to make the blades. They actually weld them. Sometimes I think, like Dave's talked about, you get them where they're welded not well, and they have a little bit of a bump. If you screw up a blade and twist it, throw it away. It isn't worth the $10, $12, because it's going to mess up your cut all the time. Now Ralph's giving me the eye, but I've tried to straighten them, and I've tried to use them. I've hammered them out. For $10, it's not worth it. Anyway, okay. I'm getting ready to start using the bandsaw or setting things up. So I'm going to kind of close this up.
Well, before you close that, open that top back up. I want to show them one thing.
Yes, sir.
You were talking about the lengths of the blades. Okay. It's best to go ahead and measure with a string unless you know for sure. I ordered 105-inch blades, not from Smith Hamilton, from an outfit up in Broward. And I didn't bother to measure them. But when I got it back, I couldn't get it on the saw because the blade was too short. So what I actually ended up doing is I'm going to move the camera over here. And I took my top wheel off. And if you look right there, you will see a cutout. Okay, that allows the whole top assembly to drop down another inch, allowing me to put the blade that was too short on and you go ahead and use that short blade. So before you just automatically say, oh, this blade's no good, it won't work, let me send it back, you may be able to just do a little quickie modification to your top housing and you're good to go.
Now, for some of you old timers that
Wait a
have
minute,
done
is that
shop,
long timers or old people?
yeah, old people. We used to have, actually at the shop, we had a welding machine that was strictly, it was box that would sit off on the bandsaw, on the big bandsaws, and you could buy your blades in spools by feet, and you would cut them and measure them, and it would weld it for us, and then we'd grind it flat and make it perfect. But those days are gone. I've not seen one of those welding machines in years. So if you ever see and again, it's a little square box, and it's got a clamp system that'll hold the blade, so you can just and it's almost like a spot welder.
It is. It's a blade. So it's a bandsaw blade welder.
And if you ever see one of
Specifically
those,
for that.
and if it works, it's worth the investment if you can find one. Also, down here, Ralph has a special custom design tool that comes in here, and I don't know if you can see the bottom down here, but that fills up with sawdust. I don't know. Can you see where the sawdust? Yes? I'm
Yes.
assuming yes if you're not saying
Yes.
it. Okay, the bandsaw is a really dirty machine. Okay, so you want two things. You want to wear a dust mask. Let me say it again. You want to wear a dust mask because all of the dust this is real fine cutting dust. I don't know if you can see that, but it is fine. And you're going to be breathing it, and it comes up with the blade. Also, you want to clean this because I can guarantee you got a port here. Ralph has a port here, and you can put in a vacuum hose there. It's not going to do a whole bunch. It'll get a little of the dust, but you want to get all this bottom stuff on a regular basis because they all fill up. I don't know what anything. It isn't as bad up on top, but you still get a lot of dust there.
Some of the machines have a built-in dust port on the back side of the housing at the bottom.
They're better, but they're not perfect.
They're pretty good. Now, on these machines, what I've seen people do is actually put a dust port cut into the door down there, which eventually I'll get around to doing. I mean, I've only had this saw for, I don't know, 15, 18 years. So maybe someday I'll do that.
Okay, so we're going to clean it up on a regular basis. We're going to lower the tension when we're not using it. We're going to use a sharp blade. Okay, this is not something that you want to be pushing on. This is something that you want to guide, and you want to let the blade cut for you. If your blade isn't cutting, it's a dull blade, and we're going to talk about sharpening in a little bit. But either have a couple, that's another reason why I have 2 or 3 blades, because I can put a sharp blade on, and then when I have the spare time, sharpen the dull blade. Okay, so that way I'm always cutting with the sharp blade. I'm going to close this up. We're getting ready to cut. I'm going to get this going. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to pretend like I'm going to cut this piece. I'm not really going to cut. My plug is unplugged while I'm playing and adjusting. I've got this roughly about 1/4 of an inch above the highest part, so I can cut. I've got all the wheels things closed. I'm doing my tensioning. I'm going to start looking at my adjustments. Now, what I've got on the top on my guides, I've also got on the bottom. So we're not going to move the camera. We're going to just show you on this. These happen to be the old-fashioned steel block type. If you are good, and on Christmas time, if you don't already have them, what you want to do is tell your family to buy you the Carter brand. And they're the ball bearings for the different companies. You can buy them for Delta. You can buy them for Jet. I have a Northern, so they have those. I wonder, what's the other company?
Raycon.
Raycon may have them. There's also that other one, Ilana or
Laguna.
Laguna, I don't know. I like having ball bearings here. They're wheels like this one. Can you see this wheel? That's the thrust one. That's in the back of the blade. I like having the two ball bearings on things. These are 100 years old. People have been using them for 100 years. So if you've got them, they're perfectly fine.
You can also use a piece of lignum in there.
You can use lignavita because lignavita, by the way, if you don't know it, the sailors used to use it in sailboats. And it was like they would make bearings out of them because they have so much oil in the natural wood. Anyway, they also have these in ceramic. Now the ceramic blocks run a little bit cooler. And that's the whole concept. We're going to adjust this thing. Now I've got my super gauge here.
Only cost you $1 too.
Cost you $1. But what I'm going to do is use this to kind of put it in here. And I don't want the blade to actually be touching the thrust or back bearing. I want it so that it's about, I think it's like a 32nd of an inch, but that's why I use a dollar, just to kind of put it so that when I'm pushing in on the blade and it moves back, it'll come into the bearing, come into touch the bearing and give it some support. Okay. I also do the same thing on the sides, especially with these steel bearings. I don't want it to actually be touching, but I want them to have enough support so that if I'm cutting and it moves back and forth, it gets support. So can you see how I'm putting that in? It's kind of tight, but you get the point, you get the idea, correct? Also, these do not touch the teeth. I don't
Well,
want them touching the
Unless
teeth.
you want to screw the blade up good.
Yeah, if I want to screw the blade.
Take all the set out of it.
What I do want it to do is to touch the body of the blade in front of the gullet, you know, or well,
Behind the
actually
gullet.
behind the gullet. Okay. So we've got this gullet. By the way, the bigger the gullet, it's easier for us to use as wood turners. I don't want a blade that has 20 teeth per inch because they have a very small gullet. Where's our blade? Sorry about that. Can you see the silhouette of the blade? You
Bring it
see
up
this hollow part in here, this
Bring it up
ding?
closer.
What do I? That's what we're calling the gullet. The bigger the gullet, the faster the wood goes away as we're cutting it, the sawdust.
Gives clearance for the chips.
So I want a nice, that's where I like a skip tooth or a hook tooth tool for what we're doing with cutting up blanks of wood. We want a gullet. Okay. I'm gonna give you back my gauge. All right.
Cost you $1.
It cost me $1. All right. So now look here, I've adjusted this, but I've messed up. Does it fit easy? No. So it's going to cause me problems. So I'm going to just adjust it again. Now I'm going to start talking about where I'm going to stand. All right. Right in front of the blade is a danger zone. I mean, I'm dead set in front of the blade. That is the danger zone. Okay. And wood is not the same density. If I'm cutting this piece of wood, I've got my heartwood here. I got my sapwood here. This isn't going to be the same density. This is going to be harder right here. This is going to be softer. If I'm pushing hard and I hit a soft zone, I'm going to jump, and it could jump as much as a ½ an inch faster. It can even do some, you know, depending on the softwood, it can do a lot quicker. So I don't want to have my hand anywhere near that. And I also want to understand that the density of the wood causes a different speed of cutting. All right. So what I'm going to do, and I like to think of this as riding a bicycle. Okay. And here are my handlebars. What I'm going to do, and I don't want to be in the way, but notice I'm right here in front. So if you can imagine that, I keep my hands off to the side and I turn the wheel or turn the handlebars on the blade to cut the wood. Okay.
The safety zone.
The safety zone, You're gonna tape it?
Well, You tape it
Okay.
where you don't want your hands.
Okay, I don't want my hand anywhere near there. Okay? Everybody see that? I want my hands off to the side, and I do not want to be pushing so that if my hand slips or something, I'm coming in here. I want to be off to the side and careful, all right? Never use a dull blade. Never use a dull blade. If you're using a dull blade, you're going to be pushing harder. Dull blades cut fingers. Sharp blades don't cut fingers, okay? It's the same with the turning tool, same with the pocket knife, same with the table saw blade, same with the bandsaw blade. Always have a sharp tool. Okay, so we're always here. We're watching where we're cutting. We're turning. If I happen to get into an area where I'm going to be having my finger get a little too close, I use a push stick. These are cheap. You make them yourself, and you can just kind of cut along and use it to push away and guide the wood. Pardon me?
Let me roll this off.
Okay. All right, is that better? Oh, this way I'm actually standing in front of the blade. This is my orientation. This is where I want to be. Now, I'm also here for another reason. If the blade fatigues, okay, let's say you're doing everything perfect. You're not stressing the blade. It's not a dull blade, but metal fatigues sometimes. So this could break and you're doing everything right. It could also break because you're twisting it and doing something wrong. You want to be able, here's the button. You want to be able to hit the button and stand back because it's going to come around and it's going to keep turning. Oh, should have bought coffee. Now, if you happen to be cutting something and you're needing to make a curve or something that you're doing, these lines here.
If your radius is too tight for your width of your blade.
Exactly. And there is a couple guides. I'll dig them out again and I'll send them to Ralph. We'll send them out depending on if you're using a 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch. I rarely use a bigger than a 1/2 inch blade. I have a couple 3/4 and I just don't use them. But anyway, these cuts right here, it's called a relief cut. This is, let's say this is the cut I want to make. And my blade, the radius won't fit here. It's also confined. So what I do is I'll come in and I'll cut almost to the line, just barely to the line. Come in, cut it barely to the line. And again, barely to the line. That way, when I start my cut and I start turning, I'm cutting and I release that section. It falls off. The strain on the blade falls off. I get a little bit better curve on it. I cut into this one, that falls off. Same here, cuts off, and then I come around and I'm able to just make a nice curved piece. Okay, now those little pieces do not get pushed off with your finger. Either leave them, blow them off, or whatever, but use a push stick. Don't blow them off or don't reach in and go, oh, I'll just knock off that piece. Okay. It's the thing that everybody tries to think, oh, I'll just knock it off. It's in my way. If that piece also gets stuck into the insert here, you got a little blade insert. They come, you can buy these in packages of 3, 4, or 5. You can also buy the thin curve and actually make your own cut.
Yeah, zero clearance.
Zero clearance, so that you can see this one has a lot of clearance on here. If you have zero clearance, the pieces of wood can't get stuck and shoved in there or go downward and get stuck into your guides down here. Do not use the bandsaw without your insert. If you lost that insert or breaks or whatever, they're on sale and they're very cheap. Because otherwise you got a real problem here. Okay. We've cut, we've done. Any questions so far? Okay, now I'm gonna use this piece of wood over here. We're wood turners. We turn round things. We don't want to cut a band on the bandsaw a round thing, okay? What we use, I'm gonna use yours and mine. This is a V-block. This is a very expensive piece of machinery that you can make yourself. It's nothing more than a couple 2x4s, cut at an angle.
Important security message.
Say it
Your
again.
computer has been locked up. Your IP address was used without your knowledge or consent to visit websites that contains identity theft virus. To unlock the computer, please call support immediately.
What the?
Please
fuck?
do not attempt to shut down or restart your computer. Doing that may lead to data loss and identity theft. The computer lock is aimed to stop illegal activity.
Looks like that message is coming
Please
from
call our
Jan.
support immediately.
From who?
Jan
Important
Zima.
security
Look at the
message.
screen. It says talking Jan
computer
and the
has been
message is
locked
going
up.
on.
Your IP address was used without your knowledge or consent to visit
Okay, so
websites
somebody
that
has to
contain
shut that off.
identity theft virus.
Yeah,
To
everyone
unlock
on
the
mute, we
computer,
wouldn't
please
hear it.
call support
He
immediately.
is on mute. isn't
Please
he?
do not attempt to shut down or restart your computer. Doing that may lead to data loss and identity
Think
theft.
it's coming from Jan?
The computer lock is aimed to stop
Yeah, it's
illegal
for me.
activity. Please call our support immediately. Important security message. Your computer.
The only reason I say that is in the upper right-hand corner, it would say talking Jan when the
Okay.
message was going on.
All right, I just muted him.
Okay, there you go. That's all I was saying.
Okay,
Sorry, Jan.
raise your hand, Jim. Anyway, this is a piece of round wood. This could be 12 inches. You can cut a, log this way. It's easier on a chainsaw to cut it with the chainsaw, but let's say you're cutting a little piece like this and you say, oh, I'll just come over and use the bandsaw. Don't cut on without using a V-block. Now I made this V-block.
That's fancy. That's adjustable.
This is, I made it so that it's adjustable and took me, an extra 10 minutes in Ralph's. I did this works for my drill press and it also works for my bandsaw
Right.
where I'm able to just kind of hold it. Now, if you don't want to do that, there's another thing you can do. You can use a clamp. You see that? Use a clamp and clamp it. What you need is you need to secure
Need to
This
keep it from
log.
rolling.
to keep it from rolling. Because what's going to happen as you cut, the blade's going to enter into the middle or the top of the log. There's nothing supporting it underneath. Okay, so what's happening is you got pressure. There's no support under here. It's going to yank it and turn it this way. Guaranteed, at a minimum, you've messed up your blade. At a worst case scenario, you've yanked your finger into the blade. So you'd never want to cut a round piece on bandsaw without securing it somehow. Whether you use a clamp, whether you use a V-block. And if you make a V-block, make it so that it fits into your little groove here. And then you can also clamp it down as well and just slide it through.
Or you can spend a bunch of money on a Carter log mill.
Yeah. The same thing goes if I'm cutting here and I do this, but I'm very careful. First of all, I adjust it. But look at the danger. Look at the danger. I've got 5 inches of exposed blade. Okay, so I want to be very careful. If I'm going to cut this in half, I would more likely not use my chainsaw, or I'm going to either put it down, and I don't like that. I'll cut a flat spot, or I'll cut it like this and use, where's the push there?
Right there.
I'll use my push sticks and cut very slowly and carefully. And I draw a line there so I know where I'm cutting. Okay, but I watch my hands and my fingers. I'm safe here. I'm safe back here. I'm safe on this other side. I'm not safe in front. And if I'm pushing and I'm going in that direction and it slips, look where my finger goes. I don't want it to be there. And one of the reasons that happens is the density of the wood, because it changes. The denser wood is in the center part of the tree. The softer wood is the sapwood. Okay. So far, we're done. I think we got pretty much. No, we don't. Let me look at my notes. I lost my
over there.
notes. Oh, there. If I'm forgetting something and you remember it, please interject. But we're also going to be sending out all of the notes and all this. When we reviewed this, we got safety rules from like 4 or 5 different places. So, and I'm also going to send you the website. It's Alex Snodgrass. If you just Google the name Snodgrass, Alex Snodgrass, Bandsaw Clinic, you will love. It's a best half hour you'll spend. He also has 3 or 4 other ones, but setting up the bandsaw par excellence. Then we're also going to send you one on sharpening. And what I do is I literally will put a mark on this and I sharpen it with this guy has a video, and you sharpen it on your grinder. It takes 10 or 15 minutes. With the 140-inch bandsaw blades, it takes me a while, and I mark it, and I'll take a break after 10 minutes, or something, because it just gets so tedious. But it's amazing the difference. Just light touch on the grinder, how sharp you can get your blades again. Okay, I'm going to review this just to see. Does anybody got any questions? If you don't participate, it doesn't help. So, all right. We talk about it. One of the things in safety is a 3-inch rule. You want to keep your hands away at least 3 inches from the blade. Other than that, you're gambling a little bit too close. Bandsaw blades are a rough cut. They're not a smooth cut. So you want to give yourself plenty of room.
Take your time, pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah. 2 things. Take your time, pay attention to what you're doing. Do not. If you're tired, turn off the bandsaw and unplug it. If you're on medication for any reason, do not use it. If you've had a couple adult beverages, do not use it. And that goes with all of our equipment. Anything like that, guys, anything that'll impair your concentration, put it away. By the way, for safety's sake, all of my equipment is unplugged in the shop. I do this for a number of reasons. One, I have a lot of grandkids and I don't want them walking into the shop. They can't turn it on. You've got to actually, if this is unplugged, you've got to do an action to plug it in and then to turn it on. The other reason I unplug all of my machines, we got hit by lightning about 3 or 4 months ago, and we lost the router, I lost the TV, and a couple other things, but not any of my equipment. And especially now with these new variable speed lathes and stuff, I would hate to have to repair those if they got fried. The board gets fried with electric lightning. So all of my machinery is unplugged. All right. Am I forgetting anything, Ralph?
I don't think so. I think we got it.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a comment that you've missed all the fun that it takes when that top wheel, when you replace the blade and the top wheel needs to be realigned.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
That's the most That's the most fun part.
Okay, what he's talking about, this bottom wheel, the bottom, I'm pointing to the bottom wheel. It's like this, it's straight.
It don't move.
It doesn't move at all. This top wheel, it goes like this. So it goes up and down, and then it cants up and or sideways. Now, the reason it can't is so that you can center this thing up and it runs true into our guides. Okay.
Well, you get your blade running true and then you set your guides to the blade.
Yes, absolutely.
So here, let's spin this around to the backside. Here, you can do
That's okay. Oh, I'm gonna show you something on Ralph's slave or bandsaw that I don't like. I don't know if you can see his belt. Is that box?
Just set it on, yeah, there we go. All right, here, swing this around some more. We can get to the top here.
And we'll get to the top and the bottom. All right. Kind of do the sideways. Anyway, right here. This one goes at 10.
That's the tension, and the other one is the in and out.
Wait, this one.
Yeah, that one.
That one. Okay, this turns the wheel in and out this way. No, this way.
Yeah.
That way. And what this does, I'm going to turn it back. Put my foot on the whole machine. This wheel will actually go back and forth like this. Okay, and you have to adjust it. You do not adjust it with the power on. This is done.
What?
This is done with your finger
Nah,
and turning the wheel and getting it. And by the way, I put this in the wrong place. Look what happened. It got cut. Anyway, so if I want to adjust it so that the blade stays on the tire, into the middle of the tire with the blades or the teeth of the blades hanging off just a little bit, I can adjust it with this thing by turning it in and out. And you got to kind of play with it a little bit when you're putting it on. None of them are perfect. Now, Ralph has one where he's got a little set screw.
that's comes with it.
That's right. They do come
Lock
with
it.
it. And it kind of gives you a ballpark of where it goes. Notice it's on thread, so it's adjustable, but you got a thumb screw and you can turn this back and forth and get it to click real nice and center it up on the tire. Okay?
Yeah.
Any questions on that? That was a great call. Thank you for remembering that. Are we still there? Somebody cough?
Okay,
All right.
so you don't like my no guard?
Oh, and here's what I don't like.
You don't have to worry about that.
All right.
What?
Or get a newer bandsaw.
You know what?
Buy a newer one.
For what?
If
There's
you don't
nothing
like
wrong
that,
with it.
Stella, he doesn't like it.
Well, he
No.
doesn't like it because the cheap plastic guard that came from the factory rotted out,
Brought
fell
it out,
apart.
broke. But what I don't like is a belt that's exposed. On the other hand, now what do they call it to when the news people always tell you to make things fair and be all the information. If you come over to my shop, my DJ lathe has an exposed
Exposed belt.
belt.
Let's
So-
go to an old fashioned line shop,
Right.
okay?
That
With
the
a
only
line
reason
shaft drive.
is you want to make sure, again, no loose clothing and things like that. You want to this is a one-person shop, so it's not going to be a problem. But if it's a multiple person shop, you want to have all the safety gear. All right? Any questions? That was a great call. Thank you. Any other ones? There will be a test on this.
They're all gonna fail.
All right, good.
They're not gonna show up for class that day.
Let's see, we did the V-blocks, we did
Did the
that,
V-block, we did that, we did that.
we did everything.
There's other jigs available you can
Oh.
buy or make.
For circle cutting.
We will send out links to YouTube videos
Okay.
and
It's, you don't understand the whole concept. You're going all over the place, and that's why you're having trouble and you're frustrated, but I can't explain it to you.
All right, so forget it.
What?
I'm not-
What?
he's talking to Kay.
Oh, okay. The other thing, don't be afraid of making an auxiliary table.
Oh, yeah.
This little table is what, about 12, 14 by 14. If you wanted to make a piece of plywood that would fit over there, and that would give you a lot more support. The blade, to give you an idea, that's 14 inches from there to there.
Normally, you don't go anywhere on that side.
No,
So where we as wood turners need the big table is out on this side of the blade where you can get a large blank on here.
Yeah.
Grab that one that's under that pole. So when you're cutting a blank like that, that's about a 14-inch blank, I think.
yes.
13 inch. So you're starting off with a bigger piece of wood.
And it's heavy.
You've got all this stuff hanging off the side of the table. It gets to be a little bit of a pain. So one of my projects, just like the dust collection port, is to extend the table out in front of the blade and out to this side, so that when I can put a large piece of wood on here, I don't have to struggle holding the backside way out here with one hand while I'm trying to guide it through the blade with the other.
Now, one thing I will tell you, if you've got a big piece of wood like this, get yourself an electric chainsaw and you can cut off the corners and at least eliminate a lot of the mass
Yes,
that you're going to be dealing with.
yeah,
And if you get good with the right chocks for your chainsaw, you can cut almost a perfect circle by just keep notching the piece of wood.
there was actually Waldo has or had a jig that somebody made or he made. That was a large, it looked like it was a base for an old, really old, heavy duty floor fan. So I had a big,
Oh.
heavy iron base with a solid steel shaft that the fan would have normally mounted on. And what they did is they put a bolt on top of it, the same thread as your chuck or your faceplate. And you could actually take a large block of wood,
Oh,
screw a faceplate to it, screw it onto this pedestal, and now it's supported and held by the pedestal, and you can actually go around with a chainsaw and cut a circle out of it.
what a great idea.
So, you know, that's a one way you can get away without having a bandsaw. If you don't have room for the bandsaw in your shop.
I went into, now Ralph has made these, but I went into Northern and they had a set of plastic, I don't know what they were called, but they're an X for cutting, logs and stuff. And you put in a piece of 2x4 to keep the two pieces together. And they had it on sale. Nobody knew what it was for. And they sold it for $5. And it's the best $5 I've ever spent, because I can put a log in there and cut it, make it almost as round as a bandsaw.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to, to do things, but
This tool is one of the most fun tools you can do. The other thing about a bandsaw that you can't do with a table saw is if I'm not sure about a cut, I can sit there and hold this thing while the machine's running and look at it and say, okay, is this safe or is this not safe? And move ahead. And if I need to, I turn it off and figure out, oh, never back out of a blade, never back out of a cut. If I'm cutting something and I've made that much of a cut, I don't back out. You'll pull the blade out.
you can pull it out, yeah.
Okay, the blade will come off and.
I got a question.
Yes,
I know that's the rule, but how do you do the relief cuts you were talking about earlier without backing out of them?
you got to be careful.
Or stop the saw and waste a bunch of time.
You know, we all do it. I also, that's one of the reasons why you want to be careful on the kerf. If you're backing out and you've got enough of a kerf on your cut, you've got a wider than the blade, but you want to back out straight through and slow. I don't go fast ever. And I don't do real deep kerfs. Okay. I may do 1.5 inches, 2 inches, something like that, but I don't go much further than that. Good question. Next. All right, are we done?
David, that's called a sawbuck.
Sawbuck, thank you. I
You're welcome.
couldn't remember the name. Thank you. Anyway, Ralph has a set that he made.
No,
Who had those?
well, Waldo has one that he made out of 2x4s.
Right.
And I had one that I made out of plywood that
Right.
really disintegrated.
Oh, okay. But
That was, I saw it was an article in one of the AAW magazines.
by the way, another reason to be an AAW member is all of the archives are online now. All of the articles are online from 1986, 87. Anyway, okay. Whoops, there's another hole over there. I don't want to get. I'm gonna leave this right here for right.
Okay, leave it there.
We'll straighten it out. I'm turning it back over to Ralph.
Okay. So,
Oh, the two things, look out, or three things. We're gonna send you the notes with the safety instructions that Dave Piper and I worked out of the last time we did this demonstration. We're gonna send you the link to Alex Snodgrass. Alex Snodgrass Bandsaw Clinic, great site. And then we're gonna send you the link to sharpening a bandsaw on a grinder. Okay?
don't fall in the hole.
Don't roll in the hole.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave you this just in case.
No, I got everything in print. Or everything you sent all the way.
All right, I'm gonna turn this back over to you.
Okay. So. I guess that concludes our demonstration for today. So what happened to my recording button there? Oh, there it is, right there. So. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, and if you have a bandsaw yet?
I have a small one
Okay,
and I don't want to invest in a big one until I actually dominate the small one.
okay.
Yeah, on your,
Well,
on the small one, Maritza, how big is it? What kind of bandsaw is it? Is it, how
So
big is it?
basically, I think it's 9, I can't remember right now, but it's a
Okay.
small one, that you
Yeah.
put on top of your,
Okay.
A bench
Yeah.
top. Yeah,
yeah,
I-
then
I
How many wheels does it have?
two
Okay.
wheels.
Yeah, then it's probably about a 9-inch.
I
Right.
believe it's 9. Yeah, correct.
I started off with one of those. That's the only reason I said that, only because I was doing a lot of carving at the time. So it was good for carving blanks. And
Okay.
it's 9-inch and 9-inch bandsaw is what it was. And the most you can, the resaw, the highest you can cut is probably about a 4-inch. So, keep that in mind too.
How big a
Okay.
blade?
Don't go out and buy one, not until it's time for you to start doing it. But if you buy another one, don't buy a 10-inch, go to at least
14.
whatever, the bigger the, whatever you can afford, 14 each at least, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And there are hundreds of these Delta, Rockwell,
Jet.
used. that-
clone, they're all basically the same saw. The 14-inch saws are basically all the same saws.
And parts are readily
Jet,
available.
Delta, Rockwell.
Rockwell Delta.
They all look like they all came out of the same factory almost.
Yes.
Rigid-
look at some of-
Depot.
Yeah, I look at some of the Delta online, Craigslist and that kind of thing. My concern, since I don't know that much, I don't want to buy something that then it doesn't work
Right.
correctly. So that's the only reason I haven't invested in one.
Yeah,
Look,
no,
when looking at the bandsaws, the measurement, that 14 is the width between the support backbone and the
Ye-
blade. It's
Right.
not the height that you can cut.
No,
It's actually that throat, what they call a throat.
Okay,
The resaw is what you need to look at, which a 9-inch usually has about 4 to 6 inches, and a 14
I
would have
see.
about 12 inches of resaw cut.
well, with the
Uh,
riser block.
No, with a riser block,
Right.
you can get a 12-inch cut out of it.
that's good. Thank you. Good info.
and can I give you a suggestion?
Sure.
When you find one, look at it online,
Uh-huh.
share it with one of the guild members, because usually we can look at it and kind of get a ballpark. And also with the mentoring program, you might want to have one of the woodturners go with you to look at it if you're not used to it. And also if you buy one, somebody can come over to your house and help you set it up and get it, going.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
If you ask around, somebody probably has it. And you can go and test theirs. Usually test out the one you're considering before buying it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, definitely.
So anybody else got any questions?
All right, one food for thought. We're gonna talk, I'm gonna sit down with Pat. Pat and I are gonna get together and we're gonna try to work out a calendar. This is Pat's first year, so we want to help him with the demos and help him get it going. So we're gonna try to set it up. So it's a really good idea. If you've got an idea for a demo, even if you can't do it, just an idea to give Pat a call or drop him an email. If you also have an idea that you want to do a demo, give Pat a call, or otherwise Pat's going to be calling you, asking you to do a demo. So we want to help him out and make it easy for everybody. We really appreciate that he's, stepping in and doing the job. So let's help him out. Everybody's got a demo. It may not be in woodturning. It may be painting. It may be design. It may be decorating to do a wood turned item.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, why you come over and paint my house?
No,
Show me how to paint my house.
It may be wood burning,
I
some
do
kind
that.
of decoration, different things like that. We want to give Ralph a break and we want to help Pat out getting the calendar set up. We really appreciate, I don't know if everybody appreciates how much work it is setting up it really doesn't take a lot of work to do a demo, but in case of Ralph, he's been doing it for 1.5 years, 2 years now, almost exclusively doing our demos. So we want to thank him, but we want to give him a break also. And we want to see something different too.
So on that note, while we're talking about Pat stepping up, as you all should know, Mr. Piper has retired from doing the newsletter. So until somebody steps up to take his place, well, let's put it this way. The next newsletter might be a surprise. So I'll just leave it at that. I see no comments from anybody on that. Mr. Brian is over there laughing. Dave's
Yeah,
sitting there. Dave's sitting there straight-faced with a grin on his face.
Yeah, that's because Brian used to do both before. He knows what that's like.
Yeah, Brian, I mean, Dave did the note works and I did a little editing and Brian put it all together for us. It was a group effort and a fair amount of work goes into producing these newsletters. And I want to say thank you to both Dave and Brian for doing all the work they've been doing for all these years on getting the newsletter out.
No, I appreciate that, Ralph. You do recognize people that do the behind the scenes that nobody sees. I appreciate
Right.
that, and Brian does too. But also there's the making sure that our webmaster, Justin, gets a copy so he can post it, and updating the website.
Well,
was
now,
pretty-
what are we gonna do about that, updating the website?
I'll be glad to show someone how to do it.
Okay, did you get it figured out the other day?
Yeah, it was something I selected and I shouldn't have.
Oh, okay, so it's
Yeah,
repaired.
it's fixed. It was fixed. It's, no
Okay.
one would have noticed it. And probably no one noticed anything anyway.
Probably not. I wouldn't have known unless you told me.
That's it.
Take a look, but I don't know how many
Exactly.
people here actually go on our website. You know, we always tell you, especially now, because our meetings are not on a set pattern anymore. Well, they're a semi-set pattern, but you know, we've always tell the members to check the website about meetings and workshops. And the last couple of events that we've done, when we were down at the Fruit and Spice Park for the Redland Heritage Festival and we were passing out literature, I always tell the people basically the information printed on our literature at this time is pre-COVID information, and to you know, check our website for the accurate information of when and where a meeting might be held. So so that's just, you know, something I'm throwing out there. You know, this is, you know, they've been updating the website now for a long time. So
Well, since we started it, you know, when we started the.
well,
the
actually,
website.
yeah, when we redid the whole website, we had, I believe, originally Jack Skipper had, I believe, his daughter set up the original website, and then it kind of didn't go anywhere. And then, you know, Dave Piper took over and got it going again.
Yeah, well, Fruendlich helped me with that too. Between the two of us, you know, we did send it out to members, but he helped me come up with all the verbiage and so on. So there's,
Right. So thank you,
Yeah.
both Davids.
yeah, it's a joint effort on all these things, you know, that's, but I'll continue to update what I update, you know, until someone
Okay.
complains that it's not getting updated, then you can figure out another way to do it.
Yeah.
To put that in what David just said, is all of the people that past officers and people that work are willing to mentor people until they get going on it. And once you get it set up, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, setting it up and doing it monthly. So we need some new people to kind of step up, and the old people will be there to help and mentor. Nobody's going to not answer a phone call.
Right. So, anybody got anything else? All right, well, with that, I will go ahead and end this meeting.
Well, but before you do that, Ralph, it seems, I thought someone would say something by now, but I did send out the address for Smith Hamilton, so I don't know if anybody looked at the chat. So the address is there for those that are interested to either give them a call or find out where they are and go from there.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and include their website in the information we're going to send out about today's meeting. Yes, Brian.
Do we have an instant gallery today?
I don't know. Do we have an instant gallery today? Does anybody have any work they want to show?
Sure.
Okay, let's see it.
Well, I think you
Sure.
have to take this.
You gonna do what?
I think you're on the spotlight, are you? Or,
No, I'm not. I took the spotlight off quite a while ago.
oh, okay.
So would you like me to spotlight you?
No, it's however you want to do it.
Oh, you already did it.
No, I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. What did you do? Did you do anything?
Nope.
Well,
Can't.
okay.
Right now, it's just you. We see you.
Oh,
Oh, I
it's
see
Ben.
you, David.
Oh, you
The
do?
speaking
Yeah, you're
person
full
comes
screen.
up.
You're
I've
full
got it
screen.
set up on speaker view, and whoever's talking is one that shows up unless it's, you know,
Oh,
I
you've got
don't see
yours on
me when I'm
speaker
talking.
view? No, yours is on your pin, David, so. Let me
On
do
what?
that. Let me click that. Let
Yep.
me go over here and do this. Speaker view. Gallery view. All right, so let's do this. All right, you are now spotlighted, so let's see
All
what
right,
you got.
Well, thank you, Ralph. Well, what I have here is some wood that I was gifted from Mike Chrysler. It's called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It comes from Australia. It's a burl cap of Coolabah. I think that's how you pronounce it. Coolabah is how it is. But this is what the, kind of like what the piece looked like that Mike gave me.
Okay.
Nice burl. So the smaller pieces, so I turned them, and I tell you, it really turned out nice. I mean, all these little bumps that you see here,
Right.
you can see how they then, these little pointed parts end up being something like this. A nice piece of burl he gave me. I appreciate it. I guess he just had to. And this is the
He got
same.
that on one of his trips.
Yeah, he bought it from, no, it was at a symposium. He was at
Oh,
Eustis, at a
okay.
symposium in Lake Yale. And they have a wood guy that sells wood there, and they just got this collection of burls in there, and he bought them there, is what he told me.
Looks
But it's
nice.
nice stuff. I never really, really nice burls.
Well, speaking of Lake Yale, I sent the email, as everybody should know, that the Florida Symposium again this year has been canceled.
Mhm.
So, okay, so
Okay,
It's nice, Dave.
Thanks.
in terms of the instant gallery, I managed to salvage the cores I took out of the failure bowl, this one,
yes,
and I did get 2 more bowls out of it.
okay,
This is the larger of the cores, but it just, it did not lend itself to turning a big bowl out of it. So
okay.
it kept getting smaller as pieces flew off. But, it is worthwhile to core if you're interested in salvaging wood.
So I'm on my list of equipment to buy. It's kind of like a toss-up between buying a coring setup, or I get these emails from one of the gun dealers, and it's like, well, do I want to buy the coring setup or I buy another rifle? So I go back and forth to see which one I buy. And said, well, I'm not going to spend the money on either right now. So anyway, so very nice. Now I don't have them to show you, but the demo that you did over here at the shop on the coring, the first 2 cores, the little teeny one, from the center, and then the second one, I went ahead and finished those pieces up, and I sold both of them.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
But I do have something else to show you, something I'm working on, 2 things I'm working on. One is some of you guys know I've had a young 15-year-old student over here a few times in the shop, and his whole purpose, he bought his own lathe, never knew anything about wood turning, went out and bought a lathe because he's into baseball and he wants to make baseball bats. So he went ahead and bought a lathe so he could make baseball bats. So I'm teaching him how to turn. And last Sunday was here, and he brought a blank over. We didn't get to finish it because we were having some issues with vibration. And but anyway, here's the product partially done. So it's going to be a 33-inch long, and this is a piece of hard maple that he brought with him that we're working on. He's coming back Monday, since there's no school, to finish that up. And when we had trouble with the vibration, I said, all right, we're going to stop that. And I had him get started on a bowl. So we started off with a blank similar to the one that I showed you guys when we were on the bandsaw, that big piece of mahogany. And we've actually got started on this. So this is the beginning of a bowl that I'm making. I started on a faceplate, And I'm going ahead and I'm finishing the bottom completely, and then I'll expand into that recess with the chuck and turn it over and finish the top. So I got him started on a little bit of bowl turning also. So that's all I got.
Okay, well, I got a vase. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. All
Yeah,
right.
I got a vase here.
We're not
Spotlight.
seeing you.
Hold on. Okay, where's Brian? Oh, there's Brian right there.
I'm right there.
You're right
The
there.
one with. Mhm.
There we go. Now you're spotlighted.
I am.
No, you aren't. Big
No.
Stigley is somehow. How the hell did that happen? All right, where's Brian? There's Brian. Oh, I see what's happening. Every time somebody makes a noise, it goes to them.
Okay, well,
So
let me make a
there we
noise
go.
then.
Now you're good.
I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
I only see you. But,
No, hold
okay,
it. There.
all right, there we are.
Now you see. you.
Okay. So this is a piece of mahogany. Made a little,
Oh, that's a nice spalty piece there.
yeah, it was pretty good spalting on it. So, and then I had this piece of eucalyptus that I turned a while ago, rainbow eucalyptus, but the top of it broke. So, and it was not so good wood. So I decided to paint the interior to make it wildly different from the other one.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, so just acrylic paint on the inside, because the original wood was like this, so kind of, bleh. So that's what I did with that. So
Kind of interesting there.
yeah, so little difference from that natural to wild.
Yeah,
So they both took about the same time. So that's it for me.
that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anybody got anything else? All right, well, I guess that's it. So we will
Yay.
see you guys in the next one. Don't forget, call Pat and volunteer to do some kind of demo and pay your dues for those that haven't paid them. And we need somebody to take over the newsletter. So I guess that's about all I got.
Okay, Ralph, I got in touch with Dave Sigley. The phone number that's in the older rosters is probably not real efficient at getting to me. So I gave him my cell phone number, and that's, in the new roster. So,
Okay. Okay. Oh, the home phone, the landline?
yeah.
Yeah, I switched off of switched to using my cell phone for everything myself.
Yeah, I finally broke down and did that.
My wife insists on keeping a landline in the house, so whatever.
The roster was sent out recently with your new number when I
Yeah.
had reminded everybody about dues.
Oh, you just sent that out a couple days ago, right?
Correct, with the dues.
Okay, then did you forward it to everybody?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. Thank you. Perfect.
All right, I'll check the newsletter because I think that's what I mean, the website, because in there it shows all our members and a phone number. So I'll double check that.
All right, and I need to get in touch with the AAW probably Tuesday or Wednesday, and I will get online and update our information on the AAW website as far as our officers and what have you.
Yeah, you can do that yourself. You don't have to notify them.
Oh, I know,
Okay.
I know. It got all screwed up and I fixed it, but now I got to refix it since we got the changes in officers. And don't forget to re-up your AAW membership. And like I said earlier, Dave Fruendlich said earlier, if you want to go ahead, you can sign up for a bit up to 4 years at the current rate of $60 instead of the new rate of $68 a year. So,
And for the old timers, you're kind of gambling to see how long you're gonna make it.
oh, come on. 4 years? You never know. You could, never mind. I'm not gonna go there. So, all right. So if anybody got anything else, either speak up or save it for the next time. Okay, I'm gonna end this meeting. See you guys.
Kyle.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.